At this moment, Curtis Meiden is one of the best in the world in the individual medley. His pair of Pan Am gold in the 200 and 400, proof of that claim. She's the pride of Hamilton, and Joanne Millar is also one of the world's best IM swimmers. She too struck gold in Argentina. Marianne Lippert won 5 silver at the Pan Ams. She holds Canadian records in the IM and the 100-meter freestyle. Stephen Clark won Commonwealth gold in Victoria in the freestyle. He's also a major force in the butterfly. They come from far and wide. Canada's swimming elite, over 400, gathered in Winnipeg. A major stop in the CBC's Aquatic Series. Welcome to the 95 Maritime Life Nationals from the Pan Am Pool. Pan Am, Commonwealth, Olympic World Champions, they're all here in Canada's Aquatic Hall of Fame at the Pan Am Pool in Winnipeg. And I even saw Byron McDonald's picture. He's on the other side.
Was this Canada's Most Wanted or Canada's Hall of Fame?
Definitely the Hall of Fame. Speaking of which, are we likely to see any of the swimmers competing here this weekend in the Hall of Fame in the not-too-distant future?
Well, I think so. I know one of the reasons I was put in the Hall of Fame is I won a couple of gold medals internationally for Canada, and we saw Steve Clark last year win a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games in Victoria. He's here. Curtis Meiden is here. He's fresh off a couple of gold medals at the Pan American Games. And we have 2 outstanding women in Joanne Millar and Marianne Lippert. 12 medals between them, Steve, at the recent Pan American Games.
The Olympic Games in Atlanta are just around the corner. So how big does that make this meet?
Well, every athlete needs benchmarks, and if you hope to be in the picture in Atlanta, you better be close 12 months out. So this is very critical for the top athlete.
And because it's such a big meet, what about Canadian records? Are they likely to fall?
Well, some of the Canadian records are awful fast, Steve, but if you hope to be in the picture in Atlanta, like I said, you've got to be breaking records in order to push yourself to the top.
And speaking of speedsters, Karen Larson will be running up and down the pool deck to get the interviews. Karen?
Thanks, Steve. I have managed to catch up with Joanne Millar. No mean feat. She is the fastest in the world in the 200 and 400 IM this year. Joanne, how important is this Summer Nationals?
Nationals are always important. It's when the best in Canada come to swim against each other. Right now I'm trying to make the Pan Pacific team. This is also the trials for that. And hopefully I really want to do well down at Pan Pacs and see if I can pre-qualify for the Olympics. But first I have to make the team and see how well I can do.
Why is pre-qualifying for the Olympics so important?
It's more of a bonus than anything. I kind of look at it as a bonus that if I make it great, it's a lot of pressure off my shoulders, but if not, you know, our trials are in April, and that's the way 99.9% of the people have to do it. And so hopefully if I do a best time, great, and say I happen to make the qualifying standard, that's a bonus.
You own one of the records. Are you going after the other one here?
I'll try. I would love to. Sure, it's a goal of mine. I don't think it's that far away, a couple tenths of a second, so I'll see what I can do.
Joanne Millar, watch for her in the women's 400 and 200 IM. Stephen Byron.
Thanks, Karen. And speaking of records, we could see one fall in our first event, the women's 100-meter backstroke. There's the start list. All eyes focused on the 18-year-old from Brantford, Julie Howard, in lane 5. She's going after a record that's been around for 19 years, set by another teenager, Nancy Garapik, back in 1976. The time, 103.28. Now, Julie had a slow time in qualifying, 104.35. Her personal best is 103.29. She set that 3 years ago. Is she still thinking about that?
I guess it's way back there. It's not like, oh, I have to do it, or you know, it's maybe more, I'd like to do that. I'd like to get back down to that time like I was 3 years ago at Olympic trials, because I haven't been down to that speed for a long time. So it's not a set you have to go 103.28, but...
Back to you, Steve.
Home pool advantage certainly paying off for Shannon Shakespeare. We're getting set now for the men's 100-meter free. Stephen Clark has lane 4. He's a 2-time winner of the event, but if he's off form, don't count out another 22-year-old Robert Brackness. He's in lane 3. Clark set the Canadian record of the world's in Rome last year with a time of 50.18. Big Stephen Clark. And when I say big, I mean big. 6'5", 200 pounds.
Well, and he's put on about 10 or 15 pounds in the last year, and that, I think, has helped propel him to the top 8 in the world, which he did at Rome. It's nice to see Canada with a sprinter in the top. It hasn't been for about 30 years. Richard Pound in 1960, who's now, of course, the Executive Vice President of the International Olympic Committee.
The men's 100-meter freestyle, 2 lengths of the pool. The favorite Stephen Clark is in 4. Robert Brackness is in 3. And the 15-year-old Yannick Lupien is in lane 5.
Well, that's a tremendous breakthrough to have a youngster with that kind of speed getting up against these world-class freestylers. Certainly bodes well for Canada in the future. We'll have to see how he's responding very well. He looks like he's right with Clark at the halfway point.
He is first to the wall. Yannick Lupien touches with a time of 24.55.
And Clark now, his experience should take over. Lupien probably wonder what he's doing with Clark at this point in the race. Am I going to go 50-point for a 100-meter freestyle? That is really, really good. The top 4 will be named to the Pan Pacific team for the relay. The question is, what order will they finish? It looks like Clark has it, but it's anybody after that.
Only a few meters to go now for big Stephen Clark. He is the defending title holder in this race. Stephen Clark at the wall. He wins it. His time, 50.81. Robert Brackness is second. The 15-year-old Yannick Lupien is third. And Ron Watson in lane 7 winds up fourth.
Here's a shot of Clark and Brackness as they stroke to the wall. Clark fading a little bit maybe at the end. Brackness coming on tremendously fast. Brackness has just moved to the Toronto area to train with Stephen Clark. That's his best time by almost a half a second. He's got to be happy with that move. There's Lupien in for third. Down out of the picture, Ron Watson comes in for fourth. Canada couldn't even enter a relay at the Olympics in the 4x1 sprint relay. Now they're starting to talk about having a world-class relay. This is great. Clark, Brackness, and on the left was Lupien in for third place.
Stephen Clark makes his turns up the
It was Montreal, 1976. Nancy Garapic authored one of the most enduring moments ever in the history of Canadian swimming. Garapic's run to Olympic bronze began with a national record in the 100-back prelim. The time of 1:03.28 would stand as the benchmark for almost 2 decades, until last summer, when Brantford teenager Julie Howard became the fastest woman at the 100-meter back this nation has ever seen.
That's more than I could have asked for. I didn't swim as well as I wanted to this morning, and I just wanted to do just a little bit better tonight. And wow, to take it that much off and finally break the record is just amazing.
Even more amazing, Howard would twice lower the record before the summer was through. In 1984, the Olympics were in LA, and Canada's Alex Bauman was at the top of his game. The IM specialist winning double gold, first in the 400, then in the 200, setting new Canadian records and new world records in the process.
17:41.
Calgary's Curtis Meiden grew up admiring the accomplishments of Bauman and dreaming of swimming glory of his own one day. Last summer, those dreams came true. With a time of 4:16.90 in the 400 IM, the celebration was on. New Canadian record and an automatic berth in the Olympics. 2 days later, there would be more as the assault on their record books continued. With a time of 2:01.24 in the 200 IM, Meiden would modestly claim that Canadian mark for his own as well.
I don't know, it's hard to describe the feeling exactly, because I've strove for them for so long. It's just a great feeling.
The lazy days of summer were anything but for Calgary's Jessica Amy. She met the challenge of the 100-meter butterfly head-on, breaking the Canadian record first here in Winnipeg and 2 more times later that summer. And Jessica Amy's teammate is John Cleveland, no stranger to national championships. He has won 31 titles himself. John, I remember you in Seoul in the '88 Olympics. You were the young, bright-eyed rookie on the squad. It's a little different going into your 3rd Olympics, isn't it?
Yeah, I was the young kid there in Seoul. Now I'm more of a veteran, but
there are a few swimmers who are still around who are older than me. Nick Gillingham is one of my main competitors, is 29. So I'm just looking forward to see what I could do at age 25. I still feel really young. So.
What do you know now, heading into an Olympics, your third time out, than maybe that you didn't know back in '88?
Well, I guess basically it's been the training. You know, as you get older, the training becomes a little bit tougher to do sets, you know, that you have done before. Although that does make me more confident when I do a set that I have done before or do it better, because I am older, I have more experience this time round. So I'm really looking forward to racing as a 25-year-old in the third Olympics.
And certainly that experience will come in handy here at this meet at the Pan Am pool. Good luck. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Karen. First up, the speed merchants. The women go one length of the pool in the 50-meter freestyle. This is where Kitson, Desereau, Nichols, and Brock in lanes 2, 4, 5, and 6 will challenge the Canadian record holder Shannon Shakespeare in lane 3. The Manitoba Marlin was fairly active over the winter, where the highlight for her was definitely the World Short Course Championships in Rio.
I think that meet was probably one of the most exciting meets of my life. It was just, we had a small team and everyone was pretty close, and just we had amazing individual swims, and then the relays just came together. And I mean, our women's relay it's going to be a force to deal with in the next couple of years. So it's really motivating for my own swims, and I think it's a good sign for Canada.
Shannon at almost the margin of victory for the talented teenager from Winnipeg. Tara Brock is second. Martine Desereau winds up a close third. Up next from the Pan Am pool in Winnipeg, the men go wall to wall in the 50 free. The Canadian record of 22.81 was set back in 1988 by Mark Andrews. Stephen Clark is the record holder in the 100. He's in lane 2, but the man to beat might be in lane 4, Robert Brackness.
And Robert's used to pressure. It came down to the last event, the 50 free in 1994, to make the Commonwealth Games team, and he responded with a victory. Lane number 2, Big Steve Clark shaking out his legs. Dean Kanzioka in the middle of the pool. Robert Brackness loosening up his neck as he gets ready. And then our visitor in lane number 5.
Interesting story about Petcue. He and his coach went to a rent-a-car agency this morning, tried to rent a car to drive to Niagara Falls. At least he got a lesson in geography. He may not win the race. The men's 50 free, one length of the pool. The start is very critical. Not a great start for Stephen Clark or Robert Brackness, but a pretty good start for the Romanian in 5, Razvan Petcue. And now Brackness is coming on.
Very strong, and again, at this point, the swimmers won't be breathing every stroke. They've got to continue the turnover. Good, powerful legs, high in the water, almost trying to surf to the end of the pool.
Brackness in lane 4 has a slight lead, but look out for Lupien. Lupien and Brackness touching almost simultaneously. Byron, it is simultaneous. It's a dead heat for first place. 23.77. Robert Brackness and Yannick Lupien. The Romanian touches third. Razvan Petcue in lane 5. What an incredible finish between Brackness and Lupien, both hitting at 23.77. An amazing swim for Brackness, who came from behind.
There's Brackness, middle of the pool, lane 4, an average start. Lupien right at the bottom. Lupien also coming from behind, and when they touch the wall, thank goodness for electronic timing, they hit exactly at the same time to the 100th of a second. Again, we'll see Brackness in the lead, Lupien right here coming right at the last stroke to be able to tie him for the gold medal in the 50-meter freestyle. The boat lunge, Brackness actually gliding slightly at the finish, but he reaches long enough with that 6'3" frame to be able to tie for the gold medal. Good concentration all the way to the wall. Look at the head position. It's not moving around. Straight ahead, straight ahead, straight ahead, and then lunge for the wall and reach with that shoulder.
Well, it looked too close to call from my angle, and indeed it was. Yannick, I bet you wished you hadn't cut your fingernails today.
Yeah, well, it was, you know, on the 50 free, you cannot see very, you know, like exactly, because, yeah, you have a lot of water going everywhere. So, you know, I knew I was a bit ahead, but I didn't see him, and he was pretty far. So, you know, it's a 50.
Robert, maybe a bit of a wake-up call here, the 23-year-old being tied by the young up-and-comer 15-year-old?
Yeah, well, you make it sound like it's a bad thing. I think it really is a good thing. Young guys like Yana coming up for Canadian sprinting, and to keep us older guys honest, I think it's a really great thing. I think it's great for Canadian sprinting.
Well, it was a terrific race, very exciting for the fans. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
They do not go to the 1,000th to break the tie, so Brackness and Lupien share the honors in the men's 50 The Romanian winds up in...
Looking at Curtis Maiden's 1994 summer performance chart, we will see how a taper yields a boost to performance. He starts the summer in hard training, depressing that performance spring to slow times at domestic meets in Calgary and Vancouver. 1 month later for a European tour, a mini taper, slightly reducing the workload, yields a boost in performance at Barcelona and Cannes. But even by the week's end, a resumption of hard work has depressed that performance spring down to previous levels. But in July, the major taper of the year, a huge spring up in performance to the top of the chart, Canadian records at the Nationals, and a medal at the Pan-Pacific Championships. This is what Curtis said about his taper.
Hours-wise in the pool, like inside the pool are quite a bit different. You might be spending, like in the weeks, like say the last week before the trials, you might only be doing, say, 3,000 meters in a practice, just tuning up, sprints and stuff, resting down. Whereas right now I might be doing 8,000, 9,000 sometimes in a practice. And also I'm doing more practices now than I would be doing then, so it's quite a bit different. But also you're still spending a lot of time at the pool in that last week because you get there, spend more time stretching, more time team bonding, more time focusing and stuff like that. But in the water is quite a bit different.
The major taper for 96 will hopefully send Curtis's performance back to the top of that, to go back with his coach and try to resurrect that great 94 experience that he had. I saw Victor Davis go through this in 1983 before 1984. Certainly turned out well for him.
And this is what the big guy himself thought about his annus horribilis.
You know, there's nothing I can do about 95, and there's no reason why I should sit there and dwell on it. You've looked back at my career, and I swam really good in 92, and I didn't swim very good in 93, and I swam really good in 94, and I didn't swim very good in 95. So we sat down and we've gone, okay, well, let's just hope the pattern follows, and I swim good this year. I remember sitting after the meet in Atlanta, and I was thinking, you know, I obviously didn't swim up to how I wanted or how other people thought I was going to swim. And I just kind of decided that, you know, I know how I felt there, and I'm like, I didn't want to feel like this 12 months from now. So I made sure how hard I've worked this year that wasn't going to happen this year.
12 months could make a huge difference in the life of Stephen Clark in lane 3 for this 100-meter freestyle final. His teammate in Brampton, Robert Brackness, is in 4. The Romanian, Razvan Petcu, in 5. Clark, the national record holder in the distance with a clocking of 50.18. His coach, Byron, is looking for something just over 51 seconds in this one.
Well, certainly, Steve definitely looks fit. He looks so much better than he did last summer. He was just hanging on in every race. Now he's trying to dominate, and he looks good. One of the reasons, I think, is that Robert Brackness has moved from Montreal and is living and training in Brampton with Stephen and Mike Puscatis, their coach. And I think they push each other every day, and I think that might have been missing in the past, and they're very, very ready to swim fast.
2 lengths of the pool, the men's 100-meter freestyle. Razvan Petcu has 5. Yannick Lupien, the 15-year-old, is in lane 6. Brackness in 4. Stephen Clark in 3. Swimmers about to go under the orders of the starter. And if Stephen Clark is going to hit that 51 plus, he'll need a good start. Byron, did he get one?
Yes, he's right up with the field, which is good. Steve's not known for his great starts, but it's so important for Canada to have a world-class sprint freestyler. Steve was the first one to get into the finals of the Olympic or world level since the 60s when Richard Pound did it for Canada, and he, of course, is now the vice president of the IOC.
It looks as if it's going to be Dean Konzioka in lane 7, first off the wall. His time is 25.13, but Stephen Clark at the top of your screen is now coming on and has the lead.
Well, he looks so fit. He looks so powerful. This is the Stephen Clark that we saw in 1994 that was missing from the scene in 1995. No dying. He's in great shape. He's been to altitude 3 times training preparation for this year. He looks very fit, Steve.
Stephen Clark has this one in cruise control. Great battle for second between Brackness and Petcue. It is Clark at the wall. 51.66. Brackness in for second. Petcue takes third with a time of 52.59. But a good swim for Stephen Clark, 51.66.
Well, I think Steve likes even-numbered years. He seems to be very hot in 92, 94, and now 96. Easily the gold medalist, right in charge, right from the 50-meter turn. No one was going to come back to Steve Clark. And again, it's so important for Canada to have a sprint freestyler, not just for the 100-meter freestyle, but it makes your relays so much stronger. Stephen Clark back on form.
Well, a couple of Brampton boys go 1-2, but Stephen, you had to come from behind at the 50 to win this one.
Yeah, those guys, as we saw yesterday, they have a lot of speed in the 50, which I have a good speed for 100, but those guys, they're really out there at the 50, so I rely coming off the wall for my big push in the 100 free.
Robert, you two are best friends, you're teammates, you train together every day. I understand you might go to the casino once or twice as well. What is it like when you get in the pool and you have to go head-to-head like that?
It's great. Like, Steve's a fine competitor, obviously. He's a Canadian record holder, 100 freestyle, Commonwealth gold medalist. So even going to work out every day, trying to challenge him, and take a bite out of him every time we get to race. I get closer and closer. So it's great training, it's great competing. We're good friends, but yeah, we have a good time together.
Okay, Stephen, predictions for Montreal then?
Hopefully it'll be the same 1-2, and preferably in the same order, 1-2. But actually, Montreal, the most important thing is the time. We have to go 50.4. So really, Olympic trials is just to qualify for Olympics. So really, it doesn't matter whether they go 1-2, but definitely the competition's still there.
Okay, we'll be watching for that. Congratulations, both of you.
Thanks.
A good time here for Stephen Clark in winning the 100 free. Cobra teammate that still stands is 22.81. The world record, by the way, is 21.81, held by Tom Yeager of the U.S. Ryan Lauren and Robert Brackness were 1-2 in qualifying and will swim in lanes 4 and 5. Lauren's time in the morning, 23.47, Byron.
Well, Ryan's been knocking at the door for several years. This could be his chance to win the first national title for the Fraser Valley Spartans under Coach Sam Montgomery, but a lot of people challenge. Dean Kanzioka with his head shaved in lane 2. Stephen Clark in lane 3. There's Lauren in lane 4. Lane 5, Robert Brackness. Lane 6, Alex Schleifman. Anyone can win on any given day in this particular race. They're all very close, within a 1/10 of a second this morning. A good start, good powerful stroking is going to be the key to victory.
The men's 53, one length of the pool, hit the water and go as fast as you can. And Ryan Lauren has a good start.
Right in the middle of the pool, Lauren picked up a couple of feet on everybody on that start, as did Kanzioka, second from the top. They have the early lead. Schleifman challenging slightly at the bottom, but they're pulling away the favorites, Kanzioka in lane number 2.
Less than 5 meters to go now. It is going to be Ryan Lauren at the wall. His time 23.38. Kanzioka is second. Robert Brackness third. Hughes Legault fourth. And big Stephen Clark winds up fifth.
There's Lauren right there. This is a big upset over 3-time winner Kanzioka. Lauren with a fantastic start. He was not going to be caught in the last couple of meters. It's put your head down and now lunge for the wall, and he gets the gold medal over Kanzioka and Brackness.
The all-importance of the start in the men's 53 pays off for Ryan Lauren. Look how close it was at the finish. Any one of 4 could have won it, but it is Ryan Lauren from the Fraser Valley Spartans in BC who comes through with the victory. His winning time, 23.38. Dean Kanzioka, a 3-time winner of the event, finishes second. He will make the Pan Packs. Robert Brackness is third, but the story